Hello, everyone. So you are getting a triple shot of me this week. I didn't expect to be, beginning of the week, I expected to just have the Ode to Nintendo video and that be the end of that until the Switch 2 Direct the next week. But then Nintendo dropped a Direct today, and it had news in it that I feel very compelled to talk about. So you are getting a hot off the presses video. Going to be more of the raw thoughts format where I have no notes in front of me. So I'm just going to be speaking from the soul here. So the news that I want to ruminate on is, what's funny is, so like I said, they had the Direct today. What I find funny is that, for me personally, the biggest news, outside of Tomodachi Life being there, which is interesting for me, the biggest news to come from this Direct for me, maybe not the biggest in quotes as far as earth-shattering, but the most exciting as far as what this could possibly mean, were the announcements of Everybody's Golf Hotshots and a remastered bundle of Patapon 1 and 2 being licensed out to Bandai Namco, and these are going to be coming to PS5, PC on Steam, and most importantly, in my opinion, the Switch. So this is not the first time that PlayStation has done this either, as far as licensing games out, not only to Bandai Namco, but in general licensing IP out, because you had Freedom Wars remastered, I believe it was earlier this year, that came out from Bandai Namco. And if you don't know what Freedom Wars is, that was a Sony published portable game from a long time ago. Never thought I would see that again, but that got licensed out to Bandai Namco, which then they remastered it. And I don't know exactly how well it did. I'm going to imagine probably not amazingly well. It probably did okay or decent, just from the sheer curiosity factor of it. But its existence was so interesting to me, because even then, that kind of opened up the possibility of PlayStation doing more licensing. And they'd already did it as well with Fantavision 22X. They licensed it to some other studio that did a remaster of it. Not only that, they gave it a PSVR 2 version of it as well, which is very interesting. And now with the recent news, so the door was already kind of cracked open with Freedom Wars, as far as the potential for PlayStation to license out more of their IP to other publishers. After today, the door of possibilities has been completely blown open, because now we have longtime Japan studio IPs like Everybody's Golf and Patapon. They're free. They're free from PlayStation consoles or portable devices. They will now be on PC on Steam and Switch. And they're also, of course, going to be put on PS5 as well, because that would be incredibly stupid if they didn't do that. And this, to me, not on Xbox, by the way, which I find to be amusing, because this isn't the first time that PlayStation have put one of their IPs on another platform, because they did it as well with Lego Horizon, the game that nobody bought, and it was on Switch, PC, PS5, not on Xbox. And it's the same story with, I believe it's the same story with Freedom Wars, and I know it's the same story with Everybody's Golf and Patapon. But this is a big deal to me, because this leaves a lot of open space for possibilities of other, specifically Japan studio IPs, to be licensed out and given. I say given in terms of, like, Bandai Namco isn't paying for this, but let's put given in quotation marks. Given to other publishers to then kind of do their thing and remaster them and bring them to different consoles and share them with new audiences and whatnot. And this is a particularly smart thing, especially given Astrobot and what a big success that was, not only just financially but critically and as far as wide exposure for these IPs. To then have new remasters of them and not only have them on PlayStation but also to put them on PC and put them, more importantly, on Switch, that to me is very exciting. And I understand, to a certain degree, I understand maybe the more, let's say, sycophantic, inward-thinking PlayStation fanboy who looks at this as kind of like, because I've already seen these comments that people see this as like a big betrayal to their longtime audience and whatever. And personally, I think that type of thinking is, to be frank, idiotic. Because PlayStation, let's be real, PlayStation, 99% chance never touching these IPs again in-house. Don't even want to bother remastering these. I guarantee you all of these new bean counting people at PlayStation couldn't give less of a shit about Patapon. Couldn't give less of a shit about Freedom Wars or Everybody's Golf. Or any of the other Japan Studio IP that they have, like Tokyo Jungle and Loco Roco and Ape Escape and Puppeteer. They couldn't care at all. I bet Jimbo, when he was there, had Japan Studio themed toilet paper installed into the Sony HQ bathrooms, just so when he comes in and uses the toilet, he can literally wipe his ass with the memory of Japan Studio. None of those people gave a shit. But this is the next best thing, in my opinion. Because if they're not going to touch these in-house, which again, 99, I'll even add a 0.9, 99.9% sure they're never going to touch these IP again in-house, with very few exceptions, it's much better for the health of these IPs and for them to live on to license them out to other publishers and give them a new lease on life, give them more exposure. I really doubt this like sycophantic mindset is coming from a place of genuine care about these IPs when they're too stupid to see how this could be a benefit to Patapon, but they could see how this could be a benefit to Everybody's Golf. They could see how this could be a benefit to Freedom Wars. Even if these games are not big financial successes when they come out in their remastered forms like this, the most important thing for me is that they are now available in a really good state on a lot of different platforms. Is it funny in a very petty way that PlayStation is not going to be putting these on Xbox? Sure, it is. Is it really kind of oddly amusing when you watch a trailer for one of these games that it has licensed by Sony Interactive so like emblazoned at the bottom of the screen that anyone with decent eyesight can see it and understand it? Yes, it is funny. But as far as any other way to get these IP out there and for more people to play them and more people to enjoy them, you know, it's better than nothing. So I have to ask people who are upset by this, that upset that PlayStation isn't doing this in-house, what would you rather see happen? To limit the possibility of PlayStation only doing these in-house and it never happening? Or PlayStation to license them out to other publishers so they do happen? You know? Like, what are we rooting for here if you don't... Now, I understand, I don't want PlayStation to put God of War or their big marquee franchises on other platforms either. Besides PC, I don't really care about that. But I really don't want to see God of War on Xbox. I really don't want to see Last of Us on Xbox. I really don't want to see a little Astrobot on Xbox. I really don't want to see it. Is that a selfish mindset? Sure, I fully admit that. But for these long dormant IPs that are never really going to get the in-house treatment again, I am fine with that. I'm fine with them getting sent out to other consoles. I don't care. Put more on the Switch. Put more on PC. I don't care. Because when am I ever going to get the chance to play something like Puppeteer or Tokyo Jungle again if I don't hook up my PS3 and play it there? Without using an emulator, by the way. You know, PlayStation likes to complain about piracy, but it's like, hey, you know, you're not really doing anything to make these games available to in an acceptable format to as many people as possible. So this is the next best thing. And what excites me the most about this is that I hope this is not the end. I really hope we reach a day where I start to see things like Loco Roco on the Switch, or Puppeteer on the Switch and PC, or Tokyo Jungle, like I mentioned, or Gravity Rush. I know that's a big one that people want to see come back. And I wonder if this is going to be limited to just Japan's studio. I wonder if they are going to go back to some like their older IPs that they don't touch anymore. Like Sly Cooper, for instance? Like Resistance? Maybe license those out? Give those the full, beautiful remaster treatment that they deserve? Especially goddamn Resistance that's stuck on PS3 and on that streaming crap. At least Sly 1 through 3 are available now on PS5 with the back compat stuff. The ports, the emulation, but not Sly 4. That's a shame. But this is a large window of possibility. And I really would like to know who behind the scenes is orchestrating this, or who gave the go-ahead to do this. Like, who talked to who first? Did Bandai Namco approach Sony first? Or did Sony kind of put some feelers out there and go, hey, we're kind of thinking about licensing some of our dormant IP. Do we have any takers? For a fee, of course. And they ultimately met with some potential partners and came to the conclusion that Bandai Namco were the best partners? Because I just find it very strange that it's Bandai Namco doing this. That to me is I'd like to know the why in that. And part of me thinks that it's Bandai Namco that approached PlayStation first for this kind of thing. But I would love to know, similar to, I would love to know behind the scenes who is like gassing up this live service initiative besides Jimbo, who is greenlighting all these dumb ideas, these live service ideas. I'd love to know who specifically and what the specific roles are for each person. This is another case where I would love to know who led the charge on this happening, making this a thing. Because I just want to shake their hand and give them like a medal and just say, hey, good job, you know? I feel like all I've been saying about PlayStation this generation is just negative, rightfully so. But this is one of the rare things that I'll give them, you know, a pat on the back for that. Because this, if they're never going to touch these games again in-house, this is how you do it. You find a partner that's going to honor these games, have them pay you a fee, have them give you a cut of the sales. Get these games out there. Free them from the past, from being stuck on old consoles, or stuck in less than optimal HD versions, like the Patapon PS4 remaster. Give them quality of life updates. Make them run better. And I love this, personally. I think this is a great idea. I think this, again, it leaves the door open for a ton of possibilities. And I am very excited to see if more comes of this. I mean, more has already come of this. I didn't think we would get another licensed game, or two, so soon after Freedom Wars. And I was concerned that Freedom Wars probably not doing all that great because it is so niche. I'm glad that they're going to continue to do it. That makes me happy. I give shit to PlayStation all the time, but this is one of those cases where I got to give them a pat on the back. I'd like to find out who started this initiative, whether at Sony or Bandai Namco, so I could give them a medal and shake their hand and say, hey, you're doing the Lord's work. You're doing what Jimbo would never do. So, anywho, those are just my raw thoughts on this whole situation. I say situation like it's a bad thing. This really good, very promising news. I'll put it that way so it's less grim sounding than the situation. Sir, we have a situation. Patapon is getting remastered. Oh no. So, anywho, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye.